Okay, let's go ahead and get started. For our last full session before the closing remarks, which take place after this, I am very excited to introduce to you Elena Viani and Fabio Sacco, both from Italy. And they're going to be talking about, can a destination and businesses be truly plastic free? It's a very interesting concept, and Fabio represents a destination where this has happened. So it is possible. And I thought there is so much plastic waste in food service and obviously in tourism as well. And it seemed like a very apropos topic for our summit. So without further delay, I will turn it over to you, Elena and Fabio.
Okay, so good evening and thank you to our session. Of course, thank you to the World Food Travel Association and to Eric Wall for this opportunity. Now we will show our screen to have a few slides. Okay, here you are. So our session is a bit particular because we are two speakers, as you can say, as you have seen, and this is not the case. In fact, we represent two souls, we can say, of a project whose title is Peyo Plastic Free. And even though we will discover it and we will explain the kind of project, what we want to underline is that our aim during this presentation is also to enlarge a bit our site and to show a more complex management approach for a DMO, for a destination management organization, and that's why we are two. And that's why I leave now the stage to Fabio for a brief introduction.
Hello, everybody. On my behalf as well, my name is Fabio Sacco. I am the General Manager of Val di Sole Tourist Board, which is the destination management organization of Val di Sole, an important touristic valley on the western side of Trentino in Italy, northern Italy, in the Alps, in the Dolomites area. So our organization has really a very interesting scope and aim, which is to coordinate and develop the overall strategy for the development in terms of sustainability and future of our destination, and of course also the marketing and promotional part. So I'm here with Elena to tell you about this story of our project that we've developed together, and now I give back her the virtual stage for the first part of our presentation. I will join you later.
Yeah, and I'm here as technical support of this destination. I'm of course part of a team of experts leading and developing sustainable tourist projects, mainly in Italy. And I'm also part of the Italian Gastronomic Tourism Association. So our today's presentation is focused and is developed in two main parts. In the first part, Fabio will explain us the approach of his DMO Val di Sole that has decided to lead the area towards a sustainable path. Of course, this is a process developed in more than 1 year and composed by different sub-actions. As a consultant, we are leading the plastic-free action in Peyo, so in that valley, and that started in 2019. But of course, we are still working together for the future development of this project. We will also show you some pictures and images of the destination, showing the communication campaign that was developed in 2019. But anyway, first of all, we want to show you that sustainability is not an easy way, also considering that we are in the Alps. Alps are fragile ecosystems where natural resources need to be managed, but also where there are local community that must contribute to the decision-taking process through a participatory approach. So the old paradigm, as as Fabio will show us, is no more possible for a destination that need now to lead the project, but have, of course, the ability to check and to manage feasible and the effective positive impacts, and then the results of such project. And we will do it, and we will see it later. But from a methodological point of view, in such projects, we need to take care of at least three aspects. So the first one, of course, are the natural resources, and here we are also in a national part where negative effects of tourism are in general more and more visible. But anyway, the second aspect that we need to take care in our project, but also in other sustainable projects, is the local community. And here we involved not only tourist businesses that were hotels, mountain huts, but also residents that because we must try, and such projects must try to preserve the quality of life of such people. And finally, we have the third aspect, that are tourists. So tourists, on one side, we can see, and the data show us that tourists are more and more aware and more responsible of environmental aspects. But on the other side, tourists are also unpredictable. So they are an unpredictable variable that need to be managed in such projects. So tourists, what we are sure, the tourist behavior is changing, and that tourists are more and more interested in green destination and in responsible practices. This is just an example of a report where this is the Sustainable Travel Report of 2 years ago, done by Booking, that show us effective data and you can see that not only people want to act, but that also people make effective environmental friendly choices. And we mean not only there is the intention, but also the effective action of such tourists. But how can we do this? Fabio.
So, as Helena said, we are trying to build a sustainable destinations for several reasons. Of course, because we care about the climate change. Of course, because we care on a healthier planet, but also because consumers are asking for a more sustainable world, for sustainable destinations. And I want also to point out with you guys that the pandemic era in which we are living, it's not something that has stopped this movement. It's something that has accelerated the urge for a more sustainable approach to destination development. This report is at the end of last summer, September 2020, where we see that 76% of consumers are expected to be more concerned about sustainability after COVID. But this is something which does not really sounds right. 42% of travel companies has postponed development of new sustainable products. So there is a contradiction between what consumers and the market is expecting and what the travel companies are actually doing. Us, together with Elena, with our partner, with our technical partners, together with our stakeholders, we decided to go on the approach, to go on the field of sustainable development for our destination. And even if the project started before the pandemic, it started in 2019, we are now living phase two, which is very challenging, and we actually used the period of the lockdown to rethink about our project, but we never thought about stopping it. So next. And we have this belief. This is a very old quotation from Visit England 10 years ago. Visit Ingles said in their website that sustainability is not about doing different business differently, but doing business even better. This is something which is something that we stuck in our mind, and the idea above this is that sustainability means quality. When we work about sustainability in terms of environmental, social, and economic sustainability in developing new products, new experiences, new projects in our destinations, we are working for the quality of the experience of our guests. So this is really a true belief that we have in our approach. Next, Elena. And in this, there is also a shift, a big change in the role of the DMO. The DMO, the Destination Management Organization, they were also called Destination Marketing Organization because the tourist board were often thought as companies, as organizations that were responsible for the marketing of the destination. So this is still true, but it's changing a lot. It's changing a lot, and it's moving to the approach where management is more important than marketing in a destination. So if 10 or 20 years ago our main goal was to attract tourist flows, it's still important to attract, but we have much more to think about how to manage tourist flows, because if we attract too many people, we have a problem in terms of sustainability, which is a problem in terms of the quality of the experience of our guests. We have many pictures of long queues in our ski slopes, of long queues in our mountains, even of course before the pandemic, but the experience of the guest in our mountain is not good if there are too many people. So we are now thinking about to have fixed close number of people in our hotspot, in our main points. So working on quality instead of quantity. If one of the main goals for a destination, for a mountain destination years ago was to build big parking slots, now we are not thinking more about parking slots because we hope that people arrive here without car, or if they arrive with car, they can park the car in the hotel for the overall stay, for whole the long stay, and then in the destination we are pushing a lot on smart mobility, so sustainable mobility, integrated mobility, and we hope that our guests are able to leave the car in the hotel, in the garage, and enjoy the destination, the holidays, without using it. Of course, promotion is still important, but content now is more important. And if the strategy of destination years ago was focusing on the value for money, now we are a lot working on the money for experience. We think that if we offer an experience, an experience with quality, a sustainable experience, our guests are also they are suitable to pay for it. Next. So, in following this approach, this big shift, this revolution in destination management, together with a group of friends, were together we were building some common thought about the destination management in the Alps. We are talking really about a revolution. We recently published a book which is called Destination Management Revolution, because we really think that things are changing a lot and we have to be in this flow. Considering this new approach, there are a few projects that we are developing in the Val di Sole. One of them is plastic free, but I want to underline that it's not the only one, because we are not working to build one single experience. We are trying to building a network of good experiences where we work on sustainability as a key value for the development of our destination. So we're working a lot on smart mobility, both in winter and in summer season. We're working in a new project with Elena as well to develop a model for sustainability in the mountain huts in Passo Tonale, which is one of our destination, one of our ski resorts that we have in Val di Sole. We have been working on also on a project of environmental education to teach also to the new generation how a model of sustainable development can be built in a natural and protected area. And this is called Stelvio Lab. And we are working very strictly with the Stelvio National Park, which is one of our partners here, also on the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism, which is the main charter that we have in Europe for sustainable tourism in protected areas. So these are some of the projects focused on sustainability that we are developing in Val di Sole. But now we come to Paio Plastic Free. So Paio Plastic Free is a project that was born on a research that we found because we found this research for the University of Milan, where we found out that microplastic were found on the top highest glaciers of our mountains. So it means that through the cycle of water, the plastic from the sea arrived to a place where people, where human beings are not easy to get. It's not easy for us to get there, but plastics get there. So we thought that there was an emergency, that was something that we have to take seriously and do something for that. So we started with the ski area. We have 3 ski areas in Val di Sole. Peio is one of them. We started with the Cableway Society, the ski lift company. We started with the ski school and the 3 mountain huts that are working with us in this ski area, that are the main stakeholders of this ski area. And in 2019, we proposed them to ban, abolish, cancel single-use plastic from their daily usage and to the experience of our guests. So this was a very strong decision and the first milestone, the first step of a sustainability project that works also on recycling, works on energy management, and also, of course, on the food part, as Elena will tell you later. So also on the providing and the supply chain of food in the terms of giving value to local products. And I want to tell you also that this is not plastic, because you have watched me drinking a little some minutes ago, but this is bioplastic. It's not plastic, because it would be very not nice for me to use a plastic glass during this presentation. But this was just a joke. So the first step, ski area, Peio 3000, and we decided to eliminate single-use plastic as a first step. And we are working also on the other fields, on the other pillars of sustainability. Second step, this year, 2021, beginning last year, and now we are working on it. We are working on the plastic-free for the hotels of all the Peio Valley. So more than 30 hotels, they will eliminate single-use plastic since summer 2021. So this is the second step, and the third step would be to involve the other tourism stakeholder of our valley, the entire Val di Sole.
Yeah, and as Fabio focused, Fabio focused on the management concept, so the DMO is no more just a marketing destination, but also focused on management. And that's why we are showing you this slide, because in this slide you will see our management plan. Because as said, we started in 2019 with the design. Of course, we launched the project, but of course, we started to make some meetings together with local stakeholders in order to involve them in this project. It was not easy, because of course we should support them through, for example, meetings and trainings in finding alternatives to the use of single-use plastic. And as Fabio said, the reduction was at the beginning was the reduction, and now is the reduction of single-use plastic as defined by the European Union regulation issued in 2019. So July 2019 issue of the European Union regulation, and then immediately after this regulation, the issue of this regulation, we started the project. But how we can support our stakeholders in doing that, finding alternatives, and that's what we started to create in the design phase. Then we work on the diagnosis. As said, the diagnosis was not only a measurement using specific indicators about the plastic use, but also the water, waste, and energy use. All this data that we collected between 2019 and 2020 arrived and defined, helped us to have, first of all, a report with this data, to have an idea of the state of the art, so of the sustainable, about the situation in the area, but also to go further. And we mean to define a strategic planning for a long-term objective and a long-term strategy also for the following years. And these data were important for us also to find an enlargement of the project, an enlargement from a territorial point of view, so from the ski area directly in the whole valley, but also an enlargement from the point of view of the numbers of stakeholders. So management through a specific and defined and shared plan with local stakeholders. Of course, for our team, was very important to follow a strict methodological approach, because it's not a matter of improvisation. But we must have, first of all, we must have precise indicators to measure, so what to measure, but also have precise rules to follow, what and how to do that, but also be able to have guidelines to measure the advancements, and finally having a really an answer in order to understand if we were working well about the involvement process and how to do that. Of course, the international standards are really a big support. So a literature support, the ISO, but also the Global Sustainable Tourist Council, the Ecolabel, are just some example about the international standards that we use and that were our inspiration. Here in this slide is just it's very important for us, because all the international standard rules that we can use for each topic, so for each area, for each tourism area that we can use, and also are related to the SDGs, because of course this is the other bigger and higher framework in which we are working, of course. But you need to also to consider one thing, that such international standards were we try to adapt them to our context. So the idea was not to strictly or to just apply that to Peyo, but also to find an adaptation, because you know that in sustainability, context is very important, and that's why sustainability is not a receipt just to replicate, but you need to have standards and then to adapt to each context. Of course, the listening phase. So the listening phase, and we mean the phase in which we shared the strategy and aims with stakeholders, was also important, because support and helped us to define new aims for the future. But also we had a kind of listening also to tourists. Now you are seeing just some data from a structured questionnaire, so from a survey that we collected in 2019. And what are such data telling us? So first of all, such data are telling us that plastic free was a strategy. So was a way mainly also to increase awareness about a more complex sustainable strategy. So it was the first step, but of course inside a more complex context. Then the second thing that such data show us is that plastic free cannot be developed as a single action. You see here, but also in this slide, that people show availability to pay a bit more, for example, for to have local product in huts, agritourism and restaurants, or to have, so they would pay more to have organic food in restaurants and huts or agritours, or to buy fair and environmentally friendly products and services. What we are saying is that plastic is a component, and that other strategy, for example, the attention to the gastronomy can be a supporting tool to develop a more coherent strategy on the territory. So that's why it's important not to focus only on one element. This is just to summarize a bit what we learned from this project. You see there are two axes. The first one is related to people, we can say, and the people of our community and tourists. And in the word community, we involve residents but also businesses, but also tourists. And on the other axis, we have policies and involvement, and we mean how to do that. So if we want to keep on working on sustainable strategies, we need to be precise and to be able to adapt to the community, to the needs of the community, without also considering the importance of the quality of the experience of the tourists. And the involvement, so the involvement means also a clear communication, not only an emotional experience in the area, is very important. And of course, policies starting from the DMO, but not only policies, the public policies inside the DMO could be supporting and need to be developed in order to support such projects. Finally, Fabio, future development.
Yeah, so the future is a key point. One of my mentors said that I am interested in the future because I will live the rest of my life in the future. So we are working a lot on the future vision of our destination. We are starting right in these days a project which is called Val di Sole Back to the Future, because we think there is a very strict connection between the past, the identity of our destination, and the future scenarios, the future challenges that we will have to live. So we are starting a process that we will to design, to rethink also the future strategy to develop a sustainable destination. And this will start also by listening to the community. As Elena said, it's very important, the connection between tourism and local residents. We really believe that tourists are actually residents that are resident only for a shorter period that people that live in a destination, that live in a territory. So this is the challenge that we are facing as a DMO. So creating values for tourists and residents, of course, to support the adoption of sustainable behavior, both for tourists and for local people. And we are doing this together with our stakeholders, because the DMO is not like a private company. The DMO is the brain of the destination. It's the place where all the people can gather and try to find a common way to face the future challenges. So we are trying to guide this train to lead us to a future where sustainability can be at the core. We are starting with this really concrete and real project, but we want to develop also something more, because we know that working on sustainability means also to guarantee emotion to the tourist, emotion to our guests through real and experiences. And of course, We also love to communicate. This is part of our job, but we want to communicate only where we do things that are real, that have a real impact on our destination, where accountability is also another keyword. It's a very important for our DMO to really have a transparent approach to the communication and to share with our guests, with our stakeholders, with our partners, what we do and the way that we are thinking for the future of our destination. So this was the last message that we want to give to you. And I think we are here for your questions, I believe.
Yes, I would like to invite our delegates to type your questions into the Q&A channel. And very interesting, I really had no idea when we were first talking about this idea for the summit, the depth of work that you've put into it and the thinking and the strategy behind it. What were some of the challenges that you faced in launching this or announcing this to your local stakeholders? Did they just say, "Oh, this is crazy, you know, it's going to cost us a lot of money, we can't do this," or what? How did you overcome those challenges?
So this is a good question. Thank you, Eric. Um, we have to tell you. I have to tell you something before to give you my answer. This wouldn't have worked on the first year of a process. It's not possible to start with such a very strong proposal as eliminating plastic if you don't have, if you didn't build the way for that. So we have been working a lot in the past 5 years on building the network of stakeholders, on building real and relationships with them, based on trust, based on also this approach, this transparent and this account approach with that I described you before. So we started to think, to talk, to speak in a new language, to in some way to put the seeds that then can blossom, that can blow in a new awareness about sustainability. When we actually proposed the project to the first group, we decided to have a small group. The ski area has these characteristics that with 5 stakeholders, ski lift company, ski school, and 3 mountain huts, 5 private stakeholders, we have the whole ski area. So we decided to start with small groups because with small groups, it's easier to start a process of innovation, and then they can be the leaders because they are the early adopters, and then the others can follow. So we started with the small groups, and I have to tell you that when we first proposed this project, maybe they didn't understand everything at the first meeting. They didn't understand all the implication, all the consequences, but they said yes. They said yes because we built the way of this trust in the DMO. And now, second phase, we are working with the accommodation, so a larger group. But it's like then now we can also work on a larger group because we started with a smaller one, and we showed that it was possible and that there was a benefit both for them and for our guests.
Okay. I like that. Start with the smaller group and then let them influence the other people. That's good. We have a couple questions from people here. One is, can you share the types of indicators that were established at the beginning of the initiative? Are you able to calculate the direct benefits of the actions that have already been taken in terms of waste reduction?
So I can try to answer to this question. So the first of all is that during 2019 and 2020, we developed, so we collected we collected some data starting from the data inside the ski area, so starting from the small group. Such data were about 3 main areas, and the areas were tourism, so tourist data about tourism flows, we can say. A second area was about environmental data, so environmental management, and then about social issues. Indicators were defined together with the working group and were specific for each of these macro area. For example, for the social area, so for the social issue, we tried to understand if the workers were, how was the situation, so the state of the art, the situation of the working condition and of the workers in the ski area. So we made some quality interview in order to understand, for example, the training level. So if they had periodical trainings, or if they had a contract and stable contract, or other kinds of contract. This is just a few examples. From an environmental point of view, we asked them to monitor and to indicate, of course, the quantity of plastics that they stopped using. And that's what was probably the main and the most important number that we collected.
Well, tell us, we're curious, how much?
It was Fabio, one ton. It was 1 ton, but just for the ski area, so for the small group of stakeholders, and also for the from the winter period, because of course we collected data is just in just one period, that was the winter 2019 and 2020, because after that we had the lockdown, and so was no more possible to make and to obtain such data. So we also should faces such problems in collecting data. So structures were closed, how to collect data, how to do that, what kind of data do we need to change indicators because of this pandemic situation. So it's not so easy to manage and to adapt the project and to decide what kind of indicators. But these are just 2 examples of indicators.
We'll start small and grow large, right? So 1 ton in 2019 and 20 tons in 2022 maybe, and then 100 tons. And yeah, I mean, we're heading in the right direction, right?
Yeah, also because the first step was to avoid and to eliminate single-use plastic. But also now we are saying to the bigger group, okay, if you can, we can also try to avoid other kind of plastics, because we must keep on working on the future aims. And that's why we are saying, okay, let's find alternatives. There are possibilities also for businesses, not only for private people. And we are doing this now.
Excellent. So we've got a question here. Do you know if some French ski resorts are planning to do similar things? And actually, I would extend this to the rest of the world. Have you heard of other ski resorts or communities that are heading in this direction?
Okay, the plastic-free theme is something that is growing, and we are very happy for that. There is a difference between our project and other project that I saw, that we decided to do it like in a very comprehensive way. So this part of the destination ski area, totally plastic free. Now we enlarge accommodation, Valdipeio, totally plastic free. It's not like different spots that are spread out in a large area. We decided really, we decided to start with a small area, as I told before, but that area is like yeah, the approach is very integrated, and we totally banished plastic. This is a unique characteristic. I don't know if there are others that have this destination approach, because I know of other projects where they eliminate plastic, I don't know, from the beaches or from public buildings or from single hotels, But we use this destination approach, which is a peculiar characteristic of our project. In terms of ski resort, I just Googled plastic-free ski resort, and it was some months that I didn't do that, and I see that the first 10 results is still us, and I'm very happy for that in terms of communication, but not happy in terms of sustainable development of our world, of our planet. I don't know about France. I know there is a very interesting project in USA. Vail Resort is developing a very comprehensive approach to the sustainable management of a ski resort. You know that Vail Resorts is a company that um, works. They actually own something like 10 or 15 different ski resorts in North America, and they are developing. I know that they're working strongly to also to get to 2030 with the zero emission goal. And we actually made a research about sustainability and skiing in different regions, in different areas. And there is also the Green Style project in Lax in Switzerland. There is a cooperation of the Climate Reality Project in Whiteface, New York, commitment to zero in Vail Resort. And in Finland, there is a small ski resort where they are actually also very, they made a strong commitment to get to zero emission as well. I'm looking to the report. I don't see any in France at the moment.
Okay, so it's interesting. So your area really is perhaps the most comprehensive. There are other initiatives taking place around the world. And then I would also think about the future here, that perhaps there are certain components that are taking place either from the tourism office or from specific hotels. And then I think in those destinations, it's the tourism office that needs to come together with the hotels, and then maybe they involve the restaurants after that. So that needs to be built. Maybe some of the pieces of the puzzle are there, but not all of the pieces yet. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I agree with you, Eric. Yeah.
Okay. Any last questions for Elena and Fabio? One last question. We got a couple minutes. We can ask them one more question. Going.
How to come here? You go to visitValdisole.it and you can book your holiday.
Why don't you type that into the chat, general chat box?
It's also part of my job.
Well, the area looks beautiful from what I saw on the website. Well, I mean, you know, skiing in Northern Italy, what's not to love, right? Super. So while Fabio is doing that for our attendees, we will be having closing remarks taking place in about 15 minutes. So join the webinar room, the final one. We'll wrap things up and we'll tell you what will happen next when everything is all the recordings are processed and all of that stuff. So did you get that typed into there, Fabio?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't see it.
No.
I don't.
I wrote it in the question and answer. I wrote it here. Okay.
Oh, I see. Question and answer.
Okay. Here.
There it is. Visit valdisole.it. Wonderful. Okay. Elena and Fabio, thank you. Really interesting. I appreciate your taking the time, and I also applaud you for doing this innovative work and helping to move our industry forward. So thank you both for sharing the process and your knowledge to help us all get ahead.
Thank you so much, Eric, to you and to the, of course, the association, to the participants. It was a pleasure, and thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you for the invitation. I really believe that sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, and gathering in this kind of international meetings is a really important part of our job, because we grow only if we do it together. So thank you, Eric.
That's true. Mille grazie.
Grazie. Thank you. Bye.
All right. See you all in 15 minutes. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.